don't want to do that.
No.
Don't want to offend half the state of Ohio.
We already have somebody that does that.
Is that me or is that Baker Mayfield?
No, but I was just kidding with Baker.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I want to applaud you for entertaining me yesterday afternoon.
Oh boy, what was I? Yeah, well, let me think now. Hold on a second. What was I doing yesterday afternoon?
Well, it was all day Wednesday and all day Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Your Twitter.
Well,
I
was going to save this for the end because I was challenged at the end of the previous podcast, and I appreciate being challenged by Dan, our email friend,
right,
that I'm not the same person on Twitter that I try to be, that he gathers that I try to be, and that I hope I try to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you got to, in a nice way, he said, you got to knock that off. And you said, I agree with Dan. And I've been trying since.
It was amazing to watch because your answers were factual. They weren't personal toward anybody. And even if somebody got personal towards you, it didn't matter. You still responded in the correct manner. And the amount of conversation that was created between you and the Twitterverse was interesting because you made it interesting.
Okay,
and didn't you feel like I know you probably are biting your tongue a little bit?
Actually, after I
Didn't
really
you feel better about how you responded?
Yes, I really had to make an effort. Most of the conversation was about the Tony Grossi Baker Mayfield thing, and I just tried to factually correct misstatements.
I think people appreciated it though. Didn't they?
I think a couple of the ladies who have a podcast in Cleveland, and it's a good podcast. It's much different than this one, which most are.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell if they were upset or not. I was trying not to upset anyone. I was just trying to clarify and give a different perspective. But at the end of the podcast, we'll readdress because I have a question about my Twitter and about Lent. We don't bury the lead here on a Friday edition of the Spielman and Hooley We Tackle Life podcast. Buckeye basketball last night. I had my doubts when I saw pregame that Alonzo Gaffney and Kyle Young were going to be out at Nebraska, and they had 8 scholarship players. They just left no doubt. They went out there and scorched earth right away. Dwayne Washington hit 3 threes in the first 4 minutes, and they were off and running.
And 16 and 18 from Caleb Wesson.
Big man, big fella.
But I was dominant. 3 of 10 from shooting, but it doesn't matter. He made his free throws, so who cares? He's 16 and 18. It's the bottom line.
18 boards, career high.
And with Dwayne Washington, who we know from the MO of this team, and it's been this way all season. And for me, it's been this way since January when I actually started following basketball team, is which guy is going to step up. And somebody, whether it's Luther Muhammad, who had I think his best career game against Maryland, or it's Dwayne Washington in Nebraska starting out first, 9 points or hitting threes off the catch and those type of things. When you have that type of performance and different guys step up, then his team can be very dangerous. But the one thing that is consistent, C.J. Walker also had a
really good
game and getting better and peaking at the right time. But as your best player has to be your most consistent player, and we gave you the exact numbers that we thought he's capable of every single time he steps out on the floor, and that was 15 and 10.
Yeah.
And he's done that, and so it seems to me it'd be interesting to see a breakdown or an analytic on this when he's at least 15 or 10 or within the vicinity of 15 and 10, what this record of this team is.
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty decent, I would think.
I would like to see him. I think he has a capacity to be an 18 and 12 guy.
Sure.
And I'd like to see that, and for them to be elite and be closer to the team they were early rather than the team they were in the middle when they started 1-4, 2-6 in the Big Ten, which, by the way, they've dug themselves all the way out of that now. They're 9-8 going into Sunday's game against Michigan. If he's an 18 and 12 guy, they're really difficult because that indicates they're getting the ball to him more, and he's probably doing that inside. And then that opens up things outside. Mm-hmm. Guys get open shots. Now, Arns didn't play much last night, but if Caleb Wesson is getting 18 in the lane, Justin Arns is going to get some looks on the perimeter. Dwayne Washington is going to get some looks on the perimeter.
C.J. Walker, Andre Wesson, Luther Muhammad. Yeah, the other thing is, in 18 and 12, yes, he's capable. I'm only going off of when I started watching what he's capable of. And right now, I think he's capable of 18 and 12. But during this past month and a half, I think 15-10 was very generous.
Yeah,
Out of expectation.
To absolve him a little bit of blame in that, I think they forget him at times. And last year it was a priority to get it into him. And it was a priority because he was so much heavier, 35 pounds heavier. He was in the post more. Now he gets wandering in the neighborhoods I'd rather he not wander into out there on the perimeter. And they forget him, and they get 3 happy. They got a fine line to walk here, where their threes make them better. But they got up on Nebraska last night, made 9 of their first 11, and they were going inside and they were hitting outside. Then all of a sudden they missed 10 in a row, and it was because they came down 1-2 passes, and boom, it was going up from 3. Don't forget the big fella. Don't forget him in there.
Right. So mentioned 35 pounds. I think if he can gain 15 of those back, it would be beneficial for him in a good way.
Yeah,
in a good way. He's capable of.
Yeah, the lack of bulk has allowed him to move more, not get in foul trouble. You don't see him getting those silly fouls on those high hedges this year, where he was just too big to get out of the way of a quick guard like Maryland's Anthony Cowan. A lot of times guards just would go around the pick last year and just run into Caleb, and he'd get called, and it's a cheapie.
I just think he would benefit. All right, I'll knock it down to 10. I think because just looking at his body, I think he can put on a healthy 10 without losing any of that quickness. That's just my opinion, and certainly one not without studying the kid and all that, but just an opinion of observation from television. But I'm excited. I mean, I think basketball is all about peaks and valleys, right?
Yep.
And especially with this team, who does go through peaks and valleys.
Goodness,
but they seem to be peaking at the right time, and it's a good thing for them.
They really need Kyle Young back for Sunday against Michigan. Michigan has length, and I don't feel optimistic about that. Yeah, they're really big.
Jeez, are they big?
And Caleb dominated John Teskey the first time, and that was probably, we said at the time, it was Caleb's best game of his college career. Now, he's since had 2 really good games. Last night was a really good game, and the Maryland game, he was really good. So hopefully he's on a roll.
That's when you know you have a good player, when they go 3 for 10, but you look up at the box score and there's 16 points and 18 rebounds.
Yep.
That's a really good player.
That is a good player. You know who else has impressed me? And this is I think is a difficult transition to make in the middle of a season at the level Ohio State is Dwayne Washington. He was a strict catch and shoot guy. Then when they thought DJ Carton was better off the ball than on the ball. They thought, give Dwayne Washington the ball more. And I was like, holy cow, you're going to give the ball more to Dwayne Washington? Like, yikes, that's turnover city. He's become really good, and he's not just catch and shoot guy anymore. He can drive it, and he's not as good as Carton driving it. It's not as quick.
Pretty good, though.
He made a move at the end of the half against Maryland where he took a guy to the basket and went in the lane and put up a left-hand kind of halfy hook. And that's a big-time play.
I like Dwayne Washington because he's a natural scorer, and I'm a big fan, and maybe because my daughter's like this. And so I look for players like this, a person that can create their own shot.
Yeah.
They don't need help to create a shot. And unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to see my daughter do that yet.
She'll be better in the long run. She'll get the David Lighty 5th-year red shirt.
I know. It's just, I don't think people understand how hard this has been on me. She's.
Be glad your daughter's still playing basketball. Mine's not, and boy, do I miss it. Man, do I miss it.
Nobody understands our pain, do they?
No, they don't. Yeah, well, you know what? Every dad
just
understands
for those that don't know, I have a daughter that plays at Bowling Green in the 3rd practice during the summer of this year, which is her freshman year. We had another Division I athlete somehow trip over their feet into her knee, and she tore ACL. And so she's on the recovery and had a good checkup on Monday and has actually been cleared to practice non-contact, so she can do all the drills and cutting and stuff. She just can't scrimmage yet, but yeah.
And we're happy for her that because of the fine folks at Orthopedic One.
Yeah,
Dr. Pete Edwards.
Dr. Pete Edwards on it.
And the rehab people.
So,
well.
and they asked me if it's interesting, and I didn't mean this in a disrespectful way. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Did I tell you the story?
No.
The people where she goes to school said, well, we can have our doctors up here do it. And I said, yeah, I really appreciate that, but I'd rather have the guys that operate on professional athletes do it.
Good choice.
And Jeff, the PT guy, has been unbelievable. Here's an interesting stat for you parents out there. If your kids have ACL injuries, or if your daughters or sons have an ACL injury and they're basketball players. And I was just talking to Jeff, the PT, about this on Monday, that for ACL injuries, if you wait 9 months before you actually start playing, not rehab, not running, not cutting, not shooting, but actually playing, the chance of re-injury diminishes 7 times.
Wow.
If you come back before 9 months, you're 7 times more likely to tear your ACL again. Or
yikes.
So it says something about how to do it. And so it's been quite the journey for her, quite the journey for me. It's very painful.
It is.
People say, look, it's crazy because they say
that is my, I mean, it's not my biggest fear, but that my daughter's had a very successful start to her high school soccer career. And she now is being recruited by some schools she's interested in going to. And that is a huge fear of mine, is that because she's the leading scorer on her team and other teams target her and dive at her and stuff like that. Yeah. My fear is she'll tear her ACL.
But that's, I think about that. That's common. We talked about that where when we watch our kids play, and we have a whole list of corrections to make when they get in the car or when they get home, right? And I had a coach once tell me that when you watch your kids play, you tend to focus on every little bad thing that nobody else sees, including the coach of that team doesn't see.
Correct.
And so yeah, I mean, it's a fear. I mean, I had that fear that I was going to get a phone call when she went to Bowling Green, and I got that phone call. I mean, I remember it. I just got home from New York. It was a Sunday afternoon. And I'm going to address something about when's the last time God acts supernaturally in your life? I want to bring that question up in our faith segment. But I have a response for that. So.
Okay, very good. We officially have a thing now. Ohio
we
State,
do?
Michigan. Yes.
Oh, I thought we had a sponsor.
No. I have a bigger grin on my face if that were the case. We have Ohio State, Michigan in football, and that's generational, and that's always going to be there. We might be seeing the seeds of a thing in basketball with Ohio State and Maryland, because Mark Turgeon made the charge that Caleb Weston's a bully. Chris Holtmann went out of his way Wednesday at the end of his press conference to come back at Turgeon and say, listen, I've been thinking about that. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So then last night, the ESPN guys were like, hey, Caleb Weston makes a move in the lane, and the announcer, I don't know who he was, but Robbie Hummel's the color guy.
Yeah.
He said, well, was Caleb a bully on that play? So they wanted to get into it. So here's Robbie Hummel, who did not play for Gene Cady, but he obviously has some Gene Cady in him, with Robbie Hummel's view of Mark Turgeon's charge that Caleb Weston was a bully against Jalen Smith.
Wow. The other announcer, I believe, was Jason Benetti.
Okay, correct.
He was very talented.
Jason Benetti.
Yeah, guy, in my opinion. First of all, I think that's hyperbole by Robbie Hummel. I really do.
What is hyperbole? Boys and Girls Club?
Boys and Girls Club. We hear that all the time. Everybody doesn't get to play. Of course, everybody knows that. I don't think Turgeon, because of the society of wokeness that we live in, because he used the term bully, everybody's making it bigger.
I agree with that.
Than it is. he used it as a he got bullied like locker room
he
talk.
got dominated.
Like I could see the guy coaching his team, and at practice, and Jalen Smith is working on a freshman. He's telling, "Hey, don't let Jalen bully you." I mean, come on.
Push you around.
And I think Chris Holtman's overreacting to those comments. Now, maybe you're doing it to fire up your player, to show. I mean, there's always reasons, or what you do is motivation. But to make this a thing between Michigan, or Ohio State, and Maryland,
wait, there's one more. There's one more.
But it's not even.
No, there's one more instance to it. There's one more instance.
All right.
First of all, I'm with you 100% on the fact that the bully thing was not intended as a how we view bullying.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like, don't let him. Turgeon was angling to get Jalen Smith calls in the future. He's doing what he should do, is rep his team.
Yeah.
Smith is a willowy stretch 4 playing 5 because he doesn't have a big beast in there, Bruno Fernando, that he had last year. When he had a Bruno Fernando, he bullied people. That was what was funny about it. Was I'm like, dude, you had Bruno Fernando like knocking people's heads together for 2 years. And Holtman is doing what he should do, where he's thinking, wait a minute, if Turgeon's going to paint my guy as too physical in a post, I don't need Caleb Weston in foul trouble from here on. I'm going to come back and say, wait, Caleb gets scrutinized. This is what Holtman's view was. Caleb gets scrutinized by people because he's so big, and we made the comment, the Wilt Chamberlain comment, nobody likes Goliath. So the coaches were doing what coaches do. But then Turgeon the other night at Minnesota, they win the game on a last-second 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Turgeon's walk-off in his sideline interview is, yeah, I just hope I'm in my driveway by 4:30 because we had to play the 9 o'clock game at Minnesota. That's ridiculous. Okay? Sorry about the TV money that you get at Maryland, which brought you out of your bankruptcy when you never should have been put into the Big Ten in the first place. That's why you have to play 9 p.m. games, Mark Turgeon. But the other part of it, so Holtman goes in his press conference last night, and the first thing he says is, essentially, great to have a 9 o'clock tip. We get to get in, have time for a shoot-around, really like the 9 o'clock tip. That's, hey, Mark, take that with you.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the little clapping back.
Yeah. If you want to call it that, I mean,
it's clapping. It's the basketball version of clapping back.
It's like two passive young ladies.
It is passive aggressive, big time,
fighting on the playground. It's like,
yeah.
It's
yeah,
like,
but
it's not a thing.
No,
I mean, compared to Ohio State and Michigan, when
I didn't compare it. I said
got Woody
football,
tearing up the yard markers.
I said football has this. We don't have anything in basketball. I said it was the seed of something.
Oh,
the
poor baby had to stay up too late. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
poor Mark Turgeon.
Did somebody ask Turgeon,
get back your $30 million Big Ten Network check? Give that back. Then you can play at 6 o'clock. Get in bed early.
I want somebody to ask him that. I really do. I really want somebody to say, well, you understand that if you're going to take the money, then you agree to the terms of the deal.
Go play in the ACC, where you're like the 7th most important team behind everybody in North Carolina.
So those of you on that can watch this or do watch this, and if you don't, you just have to vision it. So my 2 stepdaughters, one is aggressive, not in a bad way, just aggressive and tough, and she's gritty and grindy. The other one is so nice and compassionate and loving. Not that the other one isn't. I'm just saying the personalities, right?
Yeah,
just how different personalities. So Carrie, my wife, was telling me the story about when they were little, and the younger one, who's the aggressive, tough one, did something to the older one, who's the loving, compassionate, kind one, and Carrie didn't like it, and she goes to the older one, she says, you can hit her as hard as you want.
Uh-oh.
And so the real kind, compassionate one goes up to the young one, the tough, gritty one, and she goes like this. But that's what this reminds me of. Oh, well, I'm going to show you, Turgeon.
Right.
I enjoyed playing at 9 o'clock. We got to shoot around. I mean, come on. If you're going to go after him, go after him. Quit your whining, baby. You get a check for $30 million for the Big Ten.
Oh, he went after
This is big boy basketball. Right. We play when they tell us to play. It doesn't matter. If you're going to go after him, go after him. Don't say, oh, it benefits our team to play at 9 o'clock. I mean, that's so passive-aggressive. If you're going to go after him, go after him.
I don't disagree, but I just thought it was funny.
All right.
Not as funny as the sideline spat between Bruiser Flint and Archie Miller last night. That one was fun to watch. Those two guys jawing at each other as Purdue has beat. Can you imagine the angst in Indiana basketball circles? Purdue has beaten Indiana 7 straight times.
That saddens me.
10 of 11.
That saddens
10 of 11.
That saddens me.
Oh, wish Katie could have done that tonight.
Oh. Did you get the text I sent you, the 35th anniversary of Night throwing a chair? You didn't get that last week?
I think I did.
Did you celebrate that?
Of course I did. That was a great... Bill Hoskett did that game on TV.
Oh, man. So, anyway, enough of that. What else is we got going on?
We have Chase Young at the Combine saying he's the best player in the draft.
You can certainly make that argument.
For the people again... one more time, Joey Bosa, number 2 overall pick, NFL defensive. Nick Bosa, number 2 overall pick,
yes.
NFL defensive rookie of the year. Joey Bosa, number 3 overall pick, NFL defensive rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take right now Chase Young or the field in being NFL defensive rookie of the year for purely sporting purposes only?
I would probably take the field.
I would too.
Right now, for one reason only. I think Nick and Joey were so advanced with their hand usage in their pass rush and their ability to play so efficiently against the run and the pass.
Mm-hmm.
That I think Chase still has room to grow in that area. I'm not saying that he's not going to grow because I believe he will. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. I do believe he's going to be an impact player. But you're asking me, I think Joey and Nick were more advanced than Chase was coming out. Now, I've talked to a number of people about this in the world of the NFL. Some agree with me. Some adamantly disagree with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Some agree with you, and I'm not shocked by that. I'm shocked people disagree. Not because of that. I just the Bosas to me. I mean, they got the whole pedigree. Like their dad was a first-round NFL draft pick. They're physical.
John Bosa.
Yeah, they're physical. They're fast. They're
Their hands are as good as any pass rushers in the NFL. Their hands are the best in the league, and think of it like a heavyweight boxer, or I don't know if anybody out there follows boxing, but if you do and you're into it, think of anybody that was a great counter puncher. That if they would get hit, they'd immediately counter.
Floyd Mayweather.
Okay, then Floyd Mayweather's a great counter puncher. So the Bosas are Floyd Mayweathers of pass rushers. They're tremendous counter punchers. And their hands are so quick and they play with such forward lean. I just think a couple things for Chase. Chase had some big moments on TV, and it helped Chase, and deservedly so. Don't get me wrong, that Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt were selling Chase Young like a hot stock.
Yes, they were. Best player in college football.
I mean,
his name ceased to be Chase Young. It started to be the best player in college football.
I think they oversold it. I'm not saying he wasn't. I just think they oversold it. And his ability to make big plays purely on athletic ability and skill, but he's such a tremendous athlete that you can see that. I'm just saying that being a great athlete with some good technique can make Chase dominant at the college football level. Being a great athlete with some technique, Chase can be have a very good rookie year, but he's not at the level of technique.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure I'm clear on this.
Yeah.
And I'm not being derogatory toward Chase at all, because I would take him I think he's going to the Redskins number 2, no questions asked, hands down. And I would take him number 2 overall to the Redskins. But he's not to the level of Joey or Nick Bosa. And people always ask me, well, Chris, okay, well, tell me who's better between Joey and Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
And my answer is whoever I see play last. Because they're the same guy. And they're really good against, I mean, you know, I have the benefit of having access to film and all that stuff. And I have the benefit of preparing for games so that I really get to study. And I did a Chargers game this year, and I also did 2 49er games this year. And it's just, they're something, man. I mean, they're a joy to watch. And there's not many guys like them in the NFL that use their hands as well as they do and play with such forward lean as well as they do. I'm not only talking about sacks, but I'm talking about the attention that they demand, Bruce. They teams need to help who's ever on Joey or Nick. They need to chip them. They need to double them. They need to do something with them. And their ability to play the run is just amazing. If you watch Nick Bosa play, even watch the Super Bowl, how many tackles did he make on the opposite side of the field from where he was lined up?
Yep.
How many defensive ends in the league do it as well as Nick or Joey Bosa? There's not that many. I'm telling you right now. So there's why I stand on that.
I tried to find the story and give you the quotes, but I couldn't find it this morning. But I read a story yesterday. Charles Davis and Todd McShay and another analyst were critical of Chase Young for not doing the on-field drills at the combine. Like, what are you going to, go out there and embarrass people? Go out there and show everybody how great you are. I was a little surprised at that because he is as consensus a number 2 pick as I can ever recall.
I used to be in Charles and Todd are really good friends of mine, especially Charles. I talked to Charles about life, and Charles has become one of my closest friends in this world. I love the guy. And we rarely disagree on anything, but I will disagree with him on this. Why does he have to do it? Everybody knows where he's going to go. And so just everybody's going to come to Ohio State for Pro Day, and Chase can work out for them at Pro Day. But everybody knows where he's going to go. It's just like even way back when I went to the Combine in Indianapolis, who, of course, you can imagine my anxiety and my focus and all that stuff.
But that was a restless night.
I was sitting, you've probably been to this hotel. The one with the train in the middle of it. With the train.
Yeah, I've stayed in the train.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So we stayed there for the Combine. And so I went out there like the villain in an old cartoon with the curly mustache. I laid down on the middle of the tracks and said, this is my time right now. Either I get up and perform, or I might as well just stay here and have this train run over me. I had a red hooded sweatshirt on. It was 3 a.m. Wow. And the security guard said, what are you doing? He thought I was, somebody trying to stay overnight. And I just said, well, my room's right over there. I'm just getting focused in for the Combine. I did some really weird things back in the day and probably still do. But my point being is I'll disagree with him. He doesn't need to work out for anybody. You know what I can do. If you want me, draft me. Check my credentials, check my work ethic, check my intelligence. I'm all for that. But I don't have to run around out here for your ratings so everybody can see you. I know what I am. I know who's going to draft me. The Redskins are going to draft me, and that's it. Andre Bruce came, did a physical, and left. Andre Bruce was the number 1 pick overall, outside linebacker Auburn. For the Auburn, for the Atlanta Falcons. I remember seeing him get on the bus, go to the Combine, didn't have a bag, went through the physical, got back on the bus, asked the guy to take him to the airport, and headed home. Why? They knew he was going to get drafted first overall. Why work out? Why do you need to?
Today is running back day. J.K. Dobbins will take the field today.
Who compared himself to Christian McCaffrey.
He did. Here's a snippet. We don't have that one, but here's a snippet of J.K. Dobbins talking about his health. He had the ankle sprain in the Fiesta Bowl. Here is J.K. Dobbins and a quick follow-up from Mike Florio as to J.K. Dobbins' plans and physical condition entering running back day today at the Combine.
I'm definitely close to being 100%. And then really the most important thing that has me iffy about Friday is my hamstring. I've never had a hamstring injury before in my life, so that's definitely an injury that I just had, and I'm trying to work through it. I've never had it before, but if I'm ready to go Friday, I'll definitely run. Even with the ankle, I mean, I thought the ankle was still going to take some more time to get back to 100%. We can still go ahead and give it a shot. I think it's about 95% right now.
95%.
I don't know.
Would you don't like him working out? Or you?
I think he should work out.
Yeah, okay. Because I was going to ask you,
if he has a he's not Chase Young. He's not top
no,
5
he's not.
pick.
No.
He's on the border of 1 or 2.
Yeah.
If he has a hamstring, then if he can't run full speed, then he's only going to hurt himself. So if he's got anything that's lingering, then I would say no. But if he feels like he's 95%, which is in essence to me, that's 100%. I mean, you're always got aches and pains and whatever. The adrenaline for that day can kick in, so that covers up for that 5%.